tonight.
Like one of those, in fact, might be the first supervisorial district here in Sonoma County. We've been watching that one. It hasn't wavered more than 2 percentage points all evening, and we have one half of that battle here with us right now. Susan Gorin, welcome to the program this evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure to be here on KRCB.
And here you are on Pins and Needles.
Well, you know, I predicted that this was going to be a very tight election. And I was really shocked when it had a pretty wide majority when it was first with the absentee votes, and it's narrowed and narrowed. And
2%?
Yes. So just
and seesawed a little bit
about,
too. Now
about
we have to
300.
see you back on the upper end of that teeter-totter
Well,
right
this
now.
is good. How many precincts are being?
60%.
60%.
Okay.
The
Well,
problem,
we still have
the
some.
problem is that the registrar indicated to me, Jan Atkinson indicated to me that there is always something we forget about, almost 30% of the votes that's going to be counted
Yes.
yet. And those are the provisionals, which are not that great. The people who drop off absentees at the ballot, which is pretty substantial.
Yes.
And in Sonoma County, the people whose absentees were received after Friday.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is
So that's
likely
a
to be a
good chunk of
large
votes.
bag of mail yesterday.
And as I was precinct walking over the weekend, there were still a number of permanent absentee voters who had not turned in their ballots, so they're going to be turning them in, I would assume, at the polling places. And you're right, a good chunk of people who have not voted, and their votes will not be counted for a while.
And they have up to 30 days to count those ballots. And Sonoma County's habit is that they'll be renewed tonight as we go along. But once tonight's over with, you'll have to wait.
Well, and as you
Oh,
remember,
you went through this already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That happened in June, where John Sawyer was leading me by a couple of hundred votes, and it flip-flopped, so that I was the top vote getter when the vote was certified.
A little more at stake this time.
Yeah, well, a bit more at stake this time, but I hope for the same result.
I'm just curious, as you've been following things in your hometown in Santa Rosa, the Measure Q campaign, you supported that measure.
I did.
And it seems to have lacked favor elsewhere. Are you disappointed?
Well, I've been a supporter of district elections for probably 2 decades. I served on the City Charter Review 2 decades ago, and at that time we were supporting a hybrid system where the city was divided into 4 districts and 3 of the members would be elected at large. And I can't help but think if they had chosen that particular system, it would have obviated the real issue behind the 7 districts of only voting for 1 council member. And so who's to say whether that would have succeeded or not? I felt for the past couple of decades that they needed to make a case as to why district election, what was the problem, and would district elections solve that problem? And I don't think that they made the case.
Did anybody poll?
You know, I'm not aware of that. I'm so egocentric, so totally consumed with my own election. I was only paying a little bit of attention to that.
Let me ask you a question about your district. This is going to be the first time that this district has had a person represented, for sure.
Exactly.
Not from the Sonoma Valley.
Yes.
How's that going down in Sonoma, El Verano, Boy Springs, Lago Caliente?
Well, it was challenging initially because they had some good candidates running and a lot of folks were supporting one or the other of the candidates. But I had support from day one in the campaign in the Sonoma Valley, and it just strengthened over and over. When I've been walking and campaigning the last 4 or 5 months, that support has been building, and they quickly got over the hard feelings. You know, I can understand they wanted someone who lived in their community in the city of Sonoma, who understood their issues firsthand. And hopefully, if I'm successful, I will have convinced them that yes, a Santa Rosa person who has a record of great constituent response, of representing neighborhood interests, community interests, can indeed represent their interests very effectively.
Do you have an office down there? Will you open a community office if you're elected?
Well, the supervisor does have an office down there, not full-time staffing, but periodically. But it's not just sitting in an office. It is being a part of the community. It is attending community events, as I have done. It is town hall meetings. It is going to those boards and committees that are already functioning and sitting in and listening and being available to talk with them about their issues of concern.
Well, Susan, we wish you well as the evening continues.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll be watching those numbers as they unfold, not just tonight, but I guess over the
I
next
was going
couple
to
of
say,
weeks.
we wish you well as the weeks unfold.
Thank you very much, and it may be a couple of weeks.
And we'll keep people informed. The North Bay Report on krcb.org and on KRCB-FM will, of course, keep you appraised of any changes as that story unfolds in the weeks, maybe even months ahead. We may
Right
not
now,
even
she
know
leaves
that
with
until December.
2% ahead, which is, if you're going to be in a race, you might as well be ahead.